Hey guys, Rick Strickland here. I wanted to talk to you about some of the research we've been doing, especially as it pertains to the rotational athlete, and in this instance, the baseball player. We've been working on developing a special process that really will focus on developing athletes in the proper way by using drills and exercises that strictly focuses on the the skill development and the athletic development of those particular athletes. I wanted to use this one. I had a few more, a couple from a big league guy and a few from some minor league guys that had some. But I wanted to use Jake DePew. Jake's an interesting guy because I think a few years ago the Tampa Rays have decided that he is, he couldn't hit. So what we did is in January of 2013, we brought him in for our 3D biomechanical analysis offered by Xenolink and did a test on him. What we found out here on the left side here in January 2013, this is prior with me working with Jake, that his pattern was very, very inconsistent. When we look here at the lines, I'll explain these very quickly. The red line represents the hips, the blue line represents the shoulders, the green line represents the arms, and then the black line represents the bat. This black line here represents contact at the ball. And what we were trying to gauge is how efficiently and how powerful Jake moved his body and looking for consistent patterns. And what we noticed over the years from testing is that people who swing the bat in the most efficient way have a similar pattern to how they process it. And what we see is we see that the red line will actually peak in speed, and what you see is these nines when they go up. That's the high point of how fast those particular body parts are moving. The red line would be first, and as it started to decelerate, then it would be the blue line, and it would start to decelerate, and then the green line would accelerate, and then it would decline, and then the black line, which would represent the bat, would accelerate. And what we were trying to do is we were trying to match that acceleration at ball impact and at ball contact. Well, you can see here in January of 2013 that that pattern is very, very inconsistent and all over the place. I know sometimes when we test people, they want to hit the ball really well, and that's fine, but usually the pattern is the pattern. The pattern doesn't change a whole lot from hitter to hitter. So one of the things I've noticed over the last 4 or 5 years when doing this is the first thing you have to do to create an elite level hitter is quit focusing on results, but focus on the movements. You'll see the next test we took later on that year in December. I think Jake at that point in time decided he wanted to come hit. So 2 weeks in prior to taking the test, we did a few, then we went back and tested again. You can start to see that the pattern started to change a little bit. At least we got, in this instance, the red, which would represent the hips, to peak before the arms. But still, this pattern shows that we are still arm-dominated hitter early on the process. And then finally in November of 2014, this is actually November, you can see that we totally changed that central nervous system and program to swing. You can see the hips accelerated first. We still got some work to do. You can see the shoulders were second, and then you can see the arms last. And then finally, more interesting, is you can see that the top peak speed of his bat was happening right at ball impact, which is exactly what we want to happen. I want you to pay attention. It says bat speed at impact is 70 miles an hour, 68 in the second test, and then 70 again here in the last test. We want to show also the percentage of bat speed that was used in January of 2013 was only 81%, and then it went to 91%, and then it went to 97%. So there were some interesting things. You can see bat release speed at impact gradually improved over all of those things, which basically tells me right now is that we're using more power. I wanted to show there's some other stuff. There's about 10,000 data points we can measure from the exam from this thing, and this thing can be used with boxing and soccer and pitching and any type of skill development that requires quick burst of energy and athleticism. Golf is really what it's been used for, was designed for. But in that first test, Jake's bat speed was 85 miles an hour. The second test it was 72, and in the third test it was 75, and in the third test it was 72. But you can see the bat impact speed was basically the same. It tells me that that's where his body is most comfortable with, is releasing that bat at about 70 miles an hour. But the problem is that he can create tremendous maximum bat speed, but he's not as efficient when he swings the bat as hard as he possibly can. He's more under control at 75, 72, and of course, the results are much better when he swings it in that area. So one of the things we're able to find out is where he's most comfortable, find out exactly how his body was moving, change that central nervous system and how he swung it, and then put a better product. I had an opportunity to visit Jake down in spring training last March, and I was, really, really, really shocked by what I saw with him swinging a bat in the game. Now, convincing getting him to an organization that's going to give him an opportunity to play every day. I have no doubt that he will be able to make adjustments on pitches and put himself in a better position to hit. Make no bones about it. Swinging a bat and hitting are two separate things. I also believe that you have to have really good swing mechanics in order to put yourself in a position to be a really good hitter. And those are very things that we can actually measure now. So with that, you guys see me with my little studio up on the floor up there, offering a discount on this 3D motion analysis for the swinging athlete, which is $199. But we're going to be running that promotion of $165 through the end of the year. Get on the schedule. We can go from there. There's a couple other things about that. We've really changed how I do train the athlete. We're not doing hitting lessons per se anymore, but what we're doing is movement training and trying to teach the elite swing pattern. So, basically when you do this, in order to even get into to see us, we have to do one of the 3D assessments so we get a pretty good snapshot of what the body's doing. After that, then, if you decide you want to move forward, then we can go into one of the private session class packages or into the classes that I'll be offering in January of this year. So with that, click on the link below if you're interested in getting tested, and we can move on from there. Thanks. Talk to you soon.